let's hear how Brandon Kitchings got. It's an honor to have you on the call, man. I met you at that grand opening, and you're an impressive guy, writing $40,000 a month and a $400,000 team, running a hybrid in-home and telesale and virtual model. I'm super excited to hear from you, Brandon. So Steve, take it from here.
Thanks, Rob. A lot of exciting stuff. And first of all, want to give Brandon the right introduction. So Brandon, the SVP of FFL Marathon, and one of the hardest working guys in the industry that you will ever meet, and someone who kind of does it all. So Brandon, my friend, how you doing today?
Hey man, I'm doing good. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Nice setup there. Where are you today?
Here in the Phoenix office here. We got Sean here in the office today as well, doing the training here. When I accepted the opportunity to be on, I didn't know Sean was going to be here today as well, but he's here. We got about 150 agents here in the office today to learn from him.
Nice, man. Well, we'll keep it to a quick, 25 minutes or so. So give me a little bit of a backdrop, because you've been with FFL a little bit. And if I remember correctly, you were in the car industry prior to this. Am I accurate there?
No. So for me, I actually came from mortgages. I was with one of the biggest banks, here in the country. I was with them for about 12 years doing mortgages, everything pretty much under the mortgage umbrella.
Got it. So what brought you from mortgages into life insurance?
It was just one of those things, man. Approaching 40, and wasn't where I, envisioned that I would be when I was, a teenager or in my 20s, so really just started looking at things. And I think my last year there, I closed over $40 million worth of loans for the bank, and they paid me $84,000. And it really just wasn't making sense. And so I started, looking around for other things. And what really, pushed me into insurance was my father-in-law passed in October of 2018, and he didn't have any life insurance. And that burden fell on my wife and I with our 6 kids. And it really made me understand how important life insurance was at that time. And so I told my wife, hey, I think I need to look at life insurance. If I can help, one family not go through what we went through, it would be a win for me. And so I started, looking at some life insurance opportunities, got recruited by a couple other outfits that's, not our competitors, but may think they're our competitors. And then, right. And before I saw FFL, it sounded good. It really did, and then I reached out to a friend of mine that I had met when I first moved to Arizona, just to get his input, because I know he knew a little bit more than I did. And he was like, man, if you're looking to get into insurance, you need to take a look at FFL. And I'm like, who is that? And he was like, check this video out. And he sent me the video. And after I watched the video, I was like, okay, is this real? And he was like, here's my bank account statement. I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And so, it all sparked from there. Once I saw, the setup and the plan here, I jumped all in.
So your first full-time year was 2019, correct?
First full-time year was 2020. I started in I actually didn't start. I got started in late May of 2019.
Got it. At what point did you decide you wanted to build a business as opposed to just being a personal producer?
It was after the 2020 conference in Vegas when I met you. First time I met you there in Vegas. I just remember the whole year through 2019 while I was trying to figure this thing out. I just kept hearing everybody talk about how their business was exploding since they left the conference in 2019. And so this whole time I'm like, man, I can't wait to get to the conference, because it's like people are on fire after they left the conference, and I didn't start early enough. But like I said, after leaving that conference, meeting people like yourself, JP, Jonathan Porcina, and speaking with y'all, you gave me a couple minutes that year as well. But just listening to y'all's story, and like yourself and JP, it was like y'all were talking the same thing. Y'all were saying different things, but it was the same thing. And a lot of it was about, stacking the deck in your favor, what I'm saying, things like that. And I left from that conference, just with a totally different mind state. And that's when I flipped the switch. I had never done 20,000 in a month prior to going to the 2020 conference.
Well, everybody should write that down, because if like Rob had said, going to these conventions can literally change your business and take it to the next level. So now you pretty much consistently are around between a 30 and 40K a month producer. You're building a big team. And you just got into this kind of the hybrid model that's hot at FFL. I heard a little bit of your story as far as how you had to do the phone and a little bit of the Zoom. So tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so that was actually, dealing with some minor health things, but also my father passed about 2 months ago, and I knew that I was going to be out of the field for a while I was tying up, all of his loose ends and taking care of things, on his end. But I have leads constantly coming in. Any of us that have mortgage protection, they're on auto. They roll even if you ain't ready for them. They're coming, right? So it was one of those things where I had to figure out, how am I going to continue? I'm gonna be out of the field for like 2 weeks. How do I continue to stay on top of my game, not lose money with my leads coming in? So it was one of those things where I looked at it. Okay, let me at least just start calling. I see there's some phone things going on. Let me stop being scared to get on the phone, right? And just get on there and see what I can make happen. And so I just dove in myself and just did a little training, talking to some people and picking up some information on how they were doing it, and just decided, hey, let me jump in and do it myself. And so that first week, I ended up issuing 15K the first week that I did over the phone. And I remember closing that first deal over the phone, just calling my mortgage lead in South Carolina, because I live in Arizona, but my mortgage protection is in South Carolina and Georgia. So I was traveling back and forth there twice a month. So I'm calling them, and I closed that first deal for like $180 a month. And I just looked at my wife and I was like, this works. I was like, oh, Lord, this really works, and then just turned it up from there. But it put me in a position where I was able to, those 2 weeks that I couldn't run, I ended up issuing about 24,000 those 2 weeks. And then when I went to do my travel trip, it was crazy, because when I went to do the travel trip, I had already exhausted pretty much all the leads because I closed them over the phone. But there were about 9 clients that didn't feel comfortable doing it over the phone. So if they didn't feel comfortable doing it over the phone, then I gave them the option, hey, then we're gonna have to do it in home. And I travel there twice a month. When I'm not there, I service over the phone. But if you don't feel comfortable over the phone, then let's book your appointment for a week from now, 2 weeks from now, when I am going to be there back in South Carolina, because I'll be traveling 2,100 miles to come help your family. So I was able to lock those appointments down. And then I traveled out. I did the travel trip with 9 appointments, and anybody that travels, you're never going to travel with 9 appointments, right? But the fact that I had already put up 24 grand in premium 2 weeks prior to the travel trip, I felt comfortable taking that trip with the 9 appointments, because these were the 9 people that didn't want to do it over the phone. And now I went over to South Carolina for 3 days to run the 9 appointments, and I ended up issuing I sat with 8 of the 9 and closed 7 of them for another 13 grand. So it really just opened my eyes to, the phone works, everything works, but it's really just about letting the clients tell you how to close them. And that's all I've been doing, is giving them the option, how we're going to do it, either in the home or over the phone. You tell me how to close you, Steve, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. So many things I love about this, because one, your dad, sorry about your dad. I know he's looking down and proud at all the great things that you're doing. Number one. Number two, a lot of times agents will sit there and say, hey, because of this scenario, I can't do this or I can't do that. Whereas you took a thing that was going to be a challenge and you just, you rolled with it. And I think that's a big lesson. If you're an agent, you got to roll with the punches. You got to find ways. And now we have all these ways. There's really no excuse whatsoever. So I love that you were able to kind of create that. Do you have other leads that you get in addition to mortgage, or are you pretty much strictly mortgage? You do anything else?
I do. So I'm dabbling into the live transfers now as well. Since I am spending more time on the phone, I want to give myself every opportunity, to be successful and to be able to help more families. So I do have a couple live transfer companies turned on at this time as well. And then also learned a lot from Josh Williams. He's one of the fastest growing teams here right now as well. And his entire agency is all telesales over the phone. So I've sat down with him and learned a lot from him as well, and what him and his team is doing. So I've also now started implementing a lot more internet leads back into my flow, because it's very easy to just take these internet leads and turn them into live transfers, which is what, like Sean says, it's the same thing what a lot of these live transfers companies are doing. They're just calling internet leads, getting them on the phone, and then transferring them over to us at a 1,400% markup, right?
Yeah.
So I'm also doing that now as well, calling the internet leads myself and close and doing a one call close with them, seeing who's serious about doing the deal right now.
I love that. The other cool thing, I think, obviously you have leads in different areas. So you can now, people that you can't resolve, I'm assuming you now have people that are in the areas that could door knock or could whatever. And that's another piece of this, guys. So talk to me about that component from the hiring and your agency and kind of your lead inventory, we'll call it.
Yeah, so majority of the leads, now that I'm purchasing from around the country, I am doing exactly, what you were just talking about, where I have agents all over the country. So I'm being strategic about the purchases that I'm making out of the CRM. So if I do call, to Missouri or Illinois or Maryland, and I'm trying to get someone to do it over the phone, excuse me, if they don't feel comfortable doing it over the phone and I'm not going to be traveling there, then I just transition that into, okay, perfect. I actually do have an agent, an underwriter in your area that'll come out and service you there. And then I'll go ahead and book the appointment for the agent. And then I'll just send them the lead and send them the appointment time. And now, able to, book appointments for new agents that are out there, to give them some work to do as well.
Yeah, I love that, because you're completely running your business from, a position of strength, which is awesome. So what are some little key things that you're saying on the phone? I'm assuming you're booking the appointment when you call them for a future time, or are you kind of like, I'm trying to close you right? And okay, tell me about that. I want you to clarify that.
I'm sure everybody saw Wolf of Wall Street, right? That's one of my favorite movies. At no point in time on that movie did they ever book appointments, right? They were calling to close, right? They were calling to close deals. So that's what I'm doing with my dials now. I'm calling to one call close. The appointment is secondary now. So when I get you on the phone, Steve, my script is very simple. Nothing changes in the beginning of my script. We all know how to introduce yourself, let them know why you're calling, verify their information. None of that changes. That's all the same. Where my transition happens on the call is after I verify all of your information and everything, then I say something like, hey, Steve, due to the pandemic and this new Delta variant, I'm currently servicing my clients 3 ways at this time. I can either come out there and sit in your home and we can do this face to face, or we can do it over a Zoom call or via a phone call. Steve, which one of those options work best for you, brother?
I'll do it right now with you.
Okay. And most people are like the phone, right? Because and the way that I position it was because, remember, when I was making those calls, I couldn't afford for anybody to say they really wanted it in home, because I'm trying to close right now. Right. So that's why I position it the way I do when I say, due to the pandemic and this new Delta variant, I can come and sit in your house, Steve, and we can do it face to face, right? Or we can do it over the phone. Which option works best for you? And 99% of them would choose the phone. Okay. I used to use 3. That's why I said it just now with the Zoom in there, but I've never had one person choose Zoom. So I've taken Zoom out. Now it's 2 options that I offer, which is in home or phone. And then they typically will choose the phone. It sounds the easiest for them. And then I say something like, okay, Steve, that's perfect. If we're going to do it over the phone, I just need to be 100% transparent with you at this time and honest, as I am with all my clients. Steve, once we find a plan that fits your needs, and most importantly, Steve, your budget, we're then going to be submitting a request for coverage to the insurance carrier to see if you can be approved. Okay. That will require me to ask for some sensitive information, things like your driver's license information, your social security number, and your bank account information. Steve, is that going to be a problem for you?
No. And I love how you say the word sensitive. I've never used that word, but now that you said it, I think everybody should use that.
Yeah. Yeah. And most people say no. I mean, I've had literally one person that told me, I don't think we can, I don't think I feel comfortable giving you my information over the phone with all these scams going on. And I just said, hey brother, I understand exactly where you're coming from. And that's why they give the option for me to come out there face to face as well. But let me help you understand the process over the phone. Before I ask you for any of that sensitive information, Steve, I will be sending you a picture of my ID along with my state license. So you can take that and go to the South Carolina Department of Insurance website, type that in and validate that I am who I'm supposed to be. Okay. Does that make sense? And he's like, man, if that's the case, then we can do it over the phone.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
So what I'm finding is a lot of people, people just don't want to be taken advantage of, right? We all know there's a lot of scams going on out there. There's a lot of people out there looking to impose harm on hardworking people. They're out there trying to take from hardworking people, right? So that's the biggest thing that I'm finding is if you be very upfront with your leads, with your clients, be very upfront and squash any type of thing in their mind that you may be someone trying to harm them, then it makes them more comfortable to go ahead and move forward with you over the phone.
That's awesome, dude. That's so good. So what percentage would you say you close once you get them right on the phone where they say, hey, I want to do it on the phone? What would you say is your closing percentage?
I'm over 9. We went through those numbers last week, my wife and I'm over 90% closing. Because again, once I go through that with you and I tell you what we're going to be doing and you agree that this is the process, in my mind, deal is done. We're doing a deal. All I got to do is find something that works for your budget and fits your needs. And we're submitting an application today.
Yeah. And guys, one thing I want you to take from this is he's so assumptive, because why else would we be on the phone? You know what I mean? Like you laid it all out, so we're doing a deal. So I love that mindset that you have.
Appreciate it.
So tell me this now, as we kind of wrap things up. So you've been building a team, and you definitely have been on the grow. What are some of the things that you have structurally from a staff perspective, some of the little tidbits and things that you can pass on to us that are helping you grow at such a good level right now?
Of course, staff is everything, because we can't do this thing alone. We can't do everything ourselves. So good staff is priceless, right? Making sure that you have good recruiters, and you have a good contractor that's going to make sure that the people that are being recruited are getting through the process, as quickly as possible. So for me, what I do is, although I have recruiters that are recruiting, I recruit daily as well. So my whole goal is to at least to hire one person a day myself, because now what I'm showing my recruiters is if I can hire at least one person a day with all these things that I got going on, and I'm just paying you to just do this, you should definitely be at least 4 or 5 times better than me, right? So I keep the pressure on my recruiters because I'm always hiring at least 1 or 2 people a day myself. And then I throw that up, I let them know, hey, I just hired 2. How many you got today? Right. And so it also keeps the pressure on them to make sure that they're doing their job. And then also, again, with the contracting, just making sure that they're actually getting through the contracting process or getting into class or whatever that case may be. So the biggest thing that I would say is, again, like Sean always say, lead from the front, regardless if that's within production or if that's within recruiting and hiring. You always want to lead from the front, and it makes it a lot easier for the people that are following you to continue to follow you and do the things that they need to do.
How has your hiring been in the way of warm market? Have you built a lot of your agency from warm market, from people just seeing your success?
Yes. Yeah. I would say probably 30% of my team is warm market. Some of them were people that I reached out to myself personally to show them the opportunity. Some, those friends reached out to people that we knew and approached them, personally themselves. A lot of my warm market as of late, because again, as Steve, like when you're posting things on Facebook and you're posting things, out on social media, people don't always just react to it right away, right? It may take them a while. But I would say the bulk of my hiring from warm market over the last 6 months have come from, people that they've been watching me for the last 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
They've been watching. So when you post stuff on social media, believe me, people see it. They see it. They may not react to it, but they see it. So I've had classmates that I haven't seen in 15 years since we graduated from high school that are now reaching out to me. Hey, Brandon, hey, I'm really interested in doing what you're doing. I've been watching you for the last 3 months, and your numbers just keep going up and up. I want to get in there, right? What do I have to do? So a lot of my warm market as of late have just come from me being, and not me, because I have social media. My daughters, I have my 24-year-old and my 21-year-old daughter. They run my social media. I don't have time. I never had social media before I started this business. I'm an old soul. So, but my 21-year-old, my 24-year-old, they run my social media, and so they're constantly blasting stuff out there, keeping my name out there on social media. And just with their efforts, people are seeing it, and eventually people, they respond to it and they call me up and say, hey, what do I have to do?
Well, I was going to give you a great compliment because I think you do a great job with your social media, but we're going to give it to your two daughters.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. And final thing, your name, Marathon. I love your name. I love your logo. What made you pick that name and logo?
A lot of it was basically, so if you know the rapper Nipsey Hussle, he's definitely one of my favorite rappers, and that was his thing, Marathon, and this whole thing, what we're doing here with Family First Life, and just in business in general. Anything you do, it's going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? It's going to be a marathon, and we all know how marathons are. You're going to endure a lot of pain. You're going to endure a lot of suffering. You're going to endure a lot of things that most people will give up if they come across these things, if they have to endure these things. But the people that cross the finish line in any marathon, they were able to mentally prepare themselves for everything that they were going to endure to cross the finish line, right? And so for me, that's what it's about here at FFL. We know now, before us, the finish line is integrity, right? So I'm willing to do whatever it takes within this marathon, to cross that finish line and get my deal with integrity that's going to now set up my family, my kids, for the rest of their life. So, because I want to be like the Rockefellers. I want my great grandchildren to remember what I did to put them in the position that they're going to be in 60, 70, 80 years from now.
I love that, bro. There is no more appropriate way to summarize what it is we do than a marathon. And I love the fact that you probably have tough days, and you probably just look at that logo and you're like, you know what? Like, this is what it is. Like, there's tomorrow. I got another mile to go, but I'm going to just keep doing it. So I love it, man. You're an inspiration, and anything we can do for you, we absolutely will. So go get back to Sean and just thank you again for everything.
Hey, same here, man. I appreciate you, Rob. Like, you just don't know, man, how much you've done for my career just from afar. Being able to, watch your trainings, watch your videos. You were on the call with Stephen Yee, about 4 or 5 months ago with us. So anytime I get a chance to learn from you, brother, I mean, I'm all ears. And so just thank you for continuing to lead the way, blaze this trail that you're blazing to show people that the $1 million is possible every year that you're here. So, so again, man, I just appreciate you, blazing the trail, brother.
All right, my man. I appreciate you. Love to your family, and I'll talk with you soon. Take care.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed day.
All right, guys. So that was awesome and fire. We're going to get that up on YouTube. Just want to kind of summarize with this. We got fourth quarter magic here, where we have the final 2 months of the year. And if you want to springboard your business into 2022, you have to end these last 2 months on a high note. And to be honest, there are distractions that are going to come up with the holidays and things of that nature. But the counteractor to distractions right now is the fact that you have so many ways, like Brandon talked about, to really sell insurance. You have live call transfers. You have doing it over the phone, doing it over Zoom, still the traditional way. You have so many ways that you can get it done right now. So finish everything out strong. Get registered for the convention. There's probably going to be 20,000 people down here in Miami at the Marlins Stadium. It's going to be incredible. It's probably going to be, 10 times bigger than anything we've ever done. So get registered, get there, and get on this hybrid model And the other thing I think is going to help everybody do is hire, because like he had said, if you buy leads in an area and you call them and you can't resolve them all, then you have motivation to hire somebody in that area. And now you have leads to start them off with and a way to really explode your business. So love you all. Thanks for your hard work, and reach out if you need anything. Have a great day.